We Make Movies is recorded in front of a live audience in Los Angeles and is hosted by WeMakeMovies.org. We're also grateful to be sponsored by Pretzel Crisp and Aqua Hydrate. Hello and welcome back to another episode of How We Make Movies. Each episode we talk with independent filmmakers about their trials, their journeys, their successes. This week we're so lucky to have two special guests with us. They are the director and producer and musician behind the documentary, and only our second documentary to have on How We Make Movies to date, called Satan's Angel, Queen of the Fire Tassels. Okay, all right. When I first saw, I gotta be honest, when I first saw the name of this, you were recommended to me by a friend of yours, I was like, what kind of cheap horror flick? I'm not bringing these guys on. But tell me about the film, because it's not a cheap horror flick. It's a documentary, and it's a very interesting documentary. How would you describe it?
Well, it's a documentary about a burlesque legend. Her name is Satan's Angel. She's done 3 decades of burlesque. She's danced all over the world, and she's famous for putting her tassels on fire and twirling them like nobody's business.
Something I don't know if I'd be brave enough to do, ever.
Yeah, they coined that phrase for her back in the 60s, Queen of the Fire Tassels.
Queen of the Fire
She still is the queen of it.
Yeah. No, it was so rude, I haven't even introduced you guys yet. This is Tony
Marsico.
Marsico. I'm going to get it right one of these days. Marsico, Italian?
Italian.
All right. And you co-produced it and did all the music behind it.
Correct.
And you come from a music background, is that right?
Yes.
Name some of the musicians you've played for. Impress us.
Well,
I read your bio. I know who you played for.
Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Roger Daltrey, Marianne Faithfull.
Not bad. Not bad.
Bunch of stuff.
And this is Josh Dragota, the co-producer and director of the film. You did all the editing as well.
Shot and edited, yeah.
Is this your first film?
No. I've done like some short films, some music videos. I did a film back in Tucson that was about 60 minutes, digital movie. So, no.
You've done this before. Have you ever released any of your films, or is this like have you gone to festivals?
Some festivals. This was like the first animal that. This was different than anything that I had done before, just in terms of like sort of size and.
You'd had a short that was on similar subject matter, no?
We had a short called Camp Burlesque that we did about 6-7 years ago, which was a kind of a mockumentary about a fictitious burlesque camp. This is pretty cheesy, like you were mentioning before.
Yes. You wouldn't have had us on for that film.
Probably not. But that kind of brought you into the scene.
Yeah.
And introduced us to each other. I mean, that's
right. That's how we came to
you
know
guys
each other.
met. So wait, how exactly did you meet?
I had the idea for this little short, and we were slated to go, and something happened. Somebody referred me to Josh. He was working on, I guess, intervention at the time or something, and I said, "Can you squeeze me in? Let's go shoot this in a couple days." That's the kind of thing it was, you know.
We did.
And you guys were traveling festivals and going places with it?
With the Camp Burlesque film?
Yeah, we would hit different, in California and stuff, different burlesque festivals here and there.
Cool.
So.
And that's how you came upon
Satan's Angel.
Satan's Angel.
Exactly.
Where did she get that name?
It's in the film.
Yeah.
It's
an agent just coined that. You know? Yeah.
Some marketing.
She went through different
Memorable
things.
marketing.
Yeah, great marketing. But she, would be great on the marquee and all that kind of stuff. Like she went by Angel Doll for a little bit. Hell's Angel, she went by, just different names, and then she finally said Satan's Angel. And her story goes where she goes into a club one day, and it's like when she's just kind of getting started, and a woman says to her, "What's your deal? Who are you?" Some other stripper, and she said, "Well, I'm Satan's Angel." And she goes, "Yeah, what do you do?" And Angel says, "Well, I spin fire tassels, or I spin tassels," she said. And she goes, "Oh, whatever, everybody, does that. What do you know?" And she goes, "Well, I set them on fire." And so that was sort of the deal where Angel kind of, but she'll tell the story. She tells the story in the movie far better than I, recite that story.
How did you meet Angel? It was because of
I was doing a festival up in San Francisco.
Okay.
And she stuck in my mind like this girl. She's no girl. She's a 69-year-old lady who still tours all over the world as a burlesque legend and still performs. And she just stuck in my mind like, man, she's outrageous. She's wild. she's crazy, and she's got endless amounts of stories. So I said to Josh, we got to make a short on this lady. At that time, me and Josh Josh was making a lot of shorts at the time.
Yeah, and they were sort of they were all
docs. Little mini docs.
We did this Buddy Greco thing, and we did this Tiki thing, like just these little
one
mini
thing
docs.
after the other, and we started out doing this, and you know, we ran it by a lot of people, and they said,
yeah, that was it. I mean, people
said make it a full length thing, and I'm not one for that. I'm usually good for like making a 5 or 10 minute thing, and I get burnt out.
Is this your full length film? First full length film?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
but Josh pushed me. He was like,
"Are you guys intrigued by this character, Satan's Angel? Do you want to meet her? Let's go ahead and play the trailer."
The original and the only Queen of the Fire Tassel! Put your hands together for Satan's Angel!
She's sassy, she speaks her mind, she is an amazing performer.
She's still around and doing her thing and hasn't come off the stage yet.
Energetic.
She's more fabulous today than she was years ago.
Mysterious. It's the younger generation that keeps me in this business.
Angel had a little bit to do with changing the reception that the legends get now.
I don't give a shit who's looking. You think I get a fuck who's looking? Okay. Screw you, Betty. I'm a lesbian. Pow, he'd hit me again. The money I make in burlesque is how we live. This is what I live for, burlesque today.
She's one of those fierce women that I love.
She was truly still keeping the entertainment side of it alive as opposed to just the sexual side of it.
I'm going out in style, the same way I came in.
She does do a great, absolute, authentic burlesque act.
Every stripper in this business that's a legend knows exactly how we are. We gave to everybody. That's why half of us are broke.
Crazy.
I feel that like that could be at least 3 seasons of a reality show.
Yeah.
What an interesting character. So what makes Angel a legend?
The amount of time, first of all, the amount of time that she spent in the business, where she played, the clubs that she played, and who she was.
Country. She's been to every country performer back in Vietnam. I mean, her record, it just goes back so far.
Barry Ashton, like all these big producers, she backed her. I mean, she's got
the respect of every burlesque girl today and stripper. You know, she's like at the top of the list. You know, like in the trailer we had the elderly lady, the blonde lady is Miss Dixie Evans, who's like next generation. She's in her mid 80s. She's a real legend, and you know, she thinks the world of Angel, and they all respect her.
Now, I'm interested in this film just because I think she comes off as an interesting character who's lived a very different lifestyle than anything I've ever been exposed to. But what were some of the benefits of choosing in advance and starting with a short, but choosing someone that was so off the beaten path and so niche? Did that help with marketing?
I don't even think when you get started, you're even thinking about that.
So you didn't consider that at all, the gay and lesbian community, the burlesque community?
It came in later to
it's very cult.
Yeah, totally. But when it started, I mean, honestly, Josh and I did it just because we do things mainly because we're just really interested in a character, and we like telling a story. You know, that's how it started. You know, it wasn't really preconceived or anything. And as we went along filming, it just developed and took a life of its own, and we ran with it.
What are some, because we haven't had that many documentaries on the show. Like I said, you're only the second one, and following one person rather than the last documentary we had ask information from a lot of people, and the focus was a theme, not a person. So going through all the footage of that person and coming up with a storyline where most narrative filmmakers have a story that then they go and execute and they get exactly the footage they need and move on. What were some of the challenges of that, and how did you formulate the story and find the arcs that you need to make it interesting?
Well, for a documentary is a whole nother beast. I mean, it comes together in post.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we would drive and we'd shoot these interviews with her in Palm Springs or wherever in Las Vegas, and we'd be driving back home and we're like, oh man, this is going to be great. We'll cut to that, and then we'll use some of that footage. When you get into that editing room and you're sitting there and you're looking at all this stuff and you're like, okay, this works. No, that doesn't work, and then maybe this works. Between that and you get these side stories from her or other people where you're kind of like, ooh, that would be a cool thing to explore. Trying to keep that and rein it in and just, keep a central kind of focus is a difficult thing. But we had consultants that we brought on the movie.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I would say that was probably the most important, one of the more important things for me, just personally, because, you're directing it and then you're shooting it and you're editing it. Well, you just can't be subjective. I mean, you have all these ideas in your head.
And you know her personally at that point, so you're really deeply invested.
Yeah. For us, we brought in Ben Berkowitz.
Who we had on the show.
Groovy.
Yeah.
He's really knows docs, and he's very hypercritical, which is great. I mean, he and I can he'll say stuff, and I'll just say, okay, cool. Nothing, no insults. And then we also brought in Robert Hawk, who Bob has been around for quite a long time. He has quite a reputation for consulting.
For people that don't know who he is as a consultant, or do you know anything about his history, or how would you describe him and who he is in the industry and how he helped you?
Just in case this year, like we're 2013, so Bob's like on the jury at Sundance.
Okay,
that's
kind of important.
He goes way back with docs. He's been working with him forever.
And LGBT themed films as well. I mean, he was he contributed to The Life and Times of Harvey Milk. I mean, he's got quite a resume. If you go through his IMDb page, you'll see. I mean, and just in terms of like being part of the '90s indie film scene revolution in like Sundance, Kevin Smith and those kind of guys, he's really kind of...
Did he help develop Kevin Smith, or did he have anything to do with him?
Yeah, he was a pretty important part of, I think, Kevin Smith's career, certainly in the beginning part.
So if you were thinking about hiring a consultant, which some filmmakers do, what can you expect? What kind of results can you expect, or what kind of service do you expect to get by hiring a consultant? We've actually had a consultant on the show.
I would say
good. But like, someone that's going to be blunt and honest and knock you down when you think you got something good. Yeah. He's going to tell you from experience, like, this kind of stinks. Or this, go back, I'm not getting this story, or something like that. Yeah. And obviously they're going to guide you when the film is done what to do with it, as far as submitting it into festivals and things like that, which I didn't know a whole lot about.
So you're really paying for him for his opinion and his knowledge?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And was it worth it? Do you feel like...
Absolutely.
I said to him recently, I'm like, I got another script that I'm writing, how do you feel about, consulting on that? And he goes, absolutely, definitely. Just let me know when you're ready to start, show it to me. He goes, but don't show it to me until you're like at a point where you're like, okay, this is the best thing I've got out of my head. Because then I'll break it down and really rip it apart.
Right.
And so, that's what you need.
Oh, the last guest we were talking about how fragile writers' egos are.
Oh yeah.
That's just, it must be so hard when like somebody's saying, "Give me the best that you've got." All right, it's shit.
It's all right.
Excuse the French.
We liked it. I like honesty.
Yeah. I mean, Bob's like, "You know how to kill babies?" And we're like, "What?" It's like the first meeting we had with him, and he says, "Kill the babies. We're gonna have to kill babies with this movie." And we're like, what does that mean exactly? I mean, I remember writing down "kill babies" on a piece of paper.
Making notes. Okay, all right, this is next.
And he told me, and I was like, all right, man, we'll do it. Yeah.
That
whatever.
little scene that you love, that you shot, that you're so attached to, that has to be in the movie. You might have to kill it and wipe it out. It doesn't work in the movie.
Where were you from, by the way, Tony?
Where am I from?
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. You got like an East Coast vibe to you. We got some Philadelphia people in the audience?
Hey, all right. Nice.
Yeah, I was just curious.
I moved out. Yeah, I moved out here 1980 to California to get into music and whatnot.
No, and it sounds like you've done pretty well for yourself.
It's been good, yeah.
How has the music been in influence on this film?
Well, I kind of come from punk rock roots, and so I was always around people making videos. You know, I was around when MTV started.
You were in the Plugs, right?
I was in a punk band called the Plugs, who scored the music for Repo Man, and which was an Alec.
People have heard that movie, right? Repo Man.
And that's kind of my first thing with scoring and doing that kind of thing. And I've been around a lot of movies, and whenever they needed a bass player, that's what I play. They'd put a bass player. They put me in the movie here and there. So I've been on the set to a lot of movies. And I got really into seeing how movies are made, and then MTV came, and I was in tons of MTV videos and that stuff, and I was always fascinated with it, and I kind of like that end of it just as much, watching them shoot stuff and see how it's done. And explore film until about 10 years ago, and then when I hooked up with Josh, I kind of had a little more freedom now and time to do other things that I really like doing, like what we're doing.
Did you feel like there was a parlay between the music world and I mean, obviously, like, because you kept getting sucked into it as a performer, but when you started coming on as a producer and really looking at the footage and creating a story as a song is very different than creating a story as a film. Like, did you find parallels in that?
They're very similar. They really are. I regret I didn't get into this 20 years ago, because I've always loved putting music to film. It's, like, even if I was sitting at home in my studio doing it just for fun, I would do it. I just enjoy it. And I really love seeing the film come to life when you put a little soundtrack to it. So it's been fun.
And you did all the music for the film?
I did. It's not my ideal thing, but I mean, me and Josh basically, we did the whole movie ourselves. Josh did all the editing. We're looking at no budget here, so.
What was the budget? Speaking of budget.
Really, Ruben's gonna kill me. I mean, we went in with nothing. I mean, there was no, we sound so naive when we say this, but it's like we just went into it like, all right, we're just gonna make a short film here. So we didn't have a budget. But Ruben, who you had on prior, when Ben had introduced me to Ruben, and he had said, have you ever heard of Kickstarter? And I'm like, what's that?
Have you guys ever heard of Kickstarter? Has anybody in the room heard of Kickstarter? This is, pretty popular.
Crowdfunding.
Yeah,
right.
So and I didn't know. I had never heard of it.
I heard about it from one musician, a fellow that was in the band Fastball, who opened up for us on tour one year. Yeah. And he started telling me about this thing. He was getting all this money to make his record. I'm like, who's going to give you any money to make a record? And then when Josh mentioned it to me about a film, I was like, no way.
Well, it worked. I mean, I went with Ruben and Ben. We sat down. Ruben showed me. He's like, look at this. And this guy's doing this watch, right? So he's going to see, and look how much money he's raised for just this, it was like a mini iPod or something, kind of like a little thing you put on a watch. And so I was like, wow, okay. So like we could like get money here. Wow, okay. I think the only thing I would ever say to anybody that's interested in Kickstarter, because I've had people now ask me, take me to lunch or whatever, like, hey, tell me what you did. And
that's what we're doing right now. Basically, taking.
Right.
I'm sorry that all I have is wine and water. And
that's all I need. Wine and water. That's good. That's good. I'll talk all night. But it just requires a tremendous amount of time, a tremendous amount of focus, and you have to stay on it nonstop. You have to, like, say, in our case, I'm not going to deal with the film for I think it was 45
days.
No film work, really.
Just push, Kickstarter.
So it was just about raising the money, and that was the most important priority, and that's all you focused on.
That's it. We would shoot like little 30-second teasers. We'd find little parts of the movie that we could post. Like, we'd beg for money to, like, sing. Like, whatever we could do to, I fell in a pool. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff we would do.
Luckily, we have, like you said, there's kind of a cult following when it comes to burlesque. So
right.
So you already had tapped into that audience.
We had that audience, and I was familiar with that audience
because of the last film too.
From that and different things, and but we didn't realize like how big it really was. Like the international scene, burlesque scene, really kicked in. The people from Helsinki just really made our Kickstarter thing happen.
Who knew? Helsinki.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, they have a big following and festival there.
That's amazing.
We went and we showed the film in Helsinki. The place sold out. I mean, almost we had 3 screenings there, and out of the 3 screenings, I think one of them sold out, the other one was nearly full, and the other one was like just maybe a little bit more than half. And they were asking questions, and like the person who was, you know, sort of leading the conversation and asking me questions said, they never ask questions. Like, they're really into this. And I'm
really
like, oh,
like
okay,
it.
cool.
What time of year did you guys go to Helsinki, by the way?
It was
Josh went.
It was September, so it was
pretty cold.
It was chilly, but not like snowy or anything like that. Like I managed to, you know, have some couple of good days there. It was like a Cold War '80s film. It was like rainy, and you know, you're walking.
The producer only got to go to Austin. He went to Helsinki, so.
You only got to go to the warm place.
I'm paying for that now. That's all right.
So back to the Kickstarter. If you were to give filmmakers 3 very specific forms of advice on getting their Kickstarter going further than just their friends and family, like really getting it out there, what would be the most 3 specific forms of advice you'd give? Because I think most people just start with their friends and family, and it just kind of ends there.
Yeah, I would say you have to know, like, know your target audience, your main group of people that are going to be into this. What this film is about, you know.
Know your audience.
Know your audience.
Plan. Don't start your campaign until you are ready to start it. Till you've got some videos that you can post.
Big.
You've got some audio that you could post, pictures, whatever, so you can really, really hit it and just stay.
So have as much content as you can planned out.
You want to really show people what your film is about. You don't want to have it kind of Mickey Mouse with, you know. You want to hit them big.
Yeah.
And be in it to win it. Like, there's Indiegogo. Indiegogo is cool, you know, but Kickstarter is like, you know, your butt is on the line. It's like an all or nothing. And for me and Tony, it was like that just appealed to us, because it's like, we're either going to do this, and we really put it up to her fans. We said, listen, we really want to make this picture, but it really comes down to you, and we always did that. And every single person that ever gave us any pledges on Kickstarter, we thanked with a personal letter, and we just kept contact. The other thing that's great about Kickstarter is you build your fan base. So now, not only are folks coming in and liking the page, but they're also, you know, you have their email.
Yeah.
And so you can keep updating and like giving them, you know, updates on what's going on.
And these are people that already put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah,
they already show their interest by giving you their hard-earned dollars.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting point that you made as well about using Angel's fan base. Did she help with the promotion of the Kickstarter and with the promotion of the film?
No. She was busy with Angel's crazy life.
And there's also a line too there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't necessarily.
Because you're making a documentary about her.
Yeah.
Would she want to sell it back to her friends, or does she have a vested, or like an investment in making a profit off of this and getting this to sell?
Well, no, because I think that again would be crossing a certain line.
Oh, okay.
In terms of like while you're out there getting all this information, I think if.
Oh, as a documentary, and you want to be very objective.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just me.
I mean, when we made this film, like, we had no really idea where this film was going to go. We just let it go, and her story was like this. It would change every few days, and we'd be like, okay.
Where is this going?
You never know until the time that we were finished shooting, and honestly, if we continued shooting now, it would be a whole different story. Because when someone has a really crazy, wild, interesting life, it's like, it changes on a dime like that. You don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
So you gotta be able to just let go and go for the ride.
Take it, get it on tape.
It's very artistic of you. just going with it, man. Just going with it. How did you get her to participate? And what were some of the legal constraints behind that? Like, how do you ask someone, hey, can we just follow you in anything you say that can be used against you? That, like, we want to have full usage of it, like, to make it look however we want and portray you however we want. How do you get someone to say yes to that?
We went out, the very first bit of footage that we did, we went out to her apartment in Palm Springs, and you know, she wasn't in a position where she had all these people knocking on her door to make a documentary about her.
Oh, okay.
We approached her and she said, yeah, you know, people have asked me, and she kind of looked at it like, this will be one of those things, they'll come out, they'll shoot for a couple of days, and then whatever. And so we're like, well, listen, we're really serious about it. If nothing else, it'll be a short film, but it'll be something out there. And so.
Right. Really, but she held back the first time we went out there. She only gave us a little bit. She was
yeah.
saving things for her book and for this and that.
Material,
and then by the time we met with her 3 times, she opened up the big hope chest of all her, tassels and her pictures, and she started pouring it on and telling us the stories. But it took a while to loosen her up.
She saw a trailer, and I think when she saw the trailer, she's like, wow, this looks like a movie. This really looks like a movie.
Yeah.
And so that was cool.
So she opened up.
She definitely did after that, yeah.
That's great. Did you find, did she have any hesitation legally, though? I mean, no? She was just like, whatever.
She's such an open book.
Yeah, she's very open. And
it sounds like she's got nothing to hide, really. She's lived a very out there life.
And she's been out as far as everything. I think it's okay to say, she's a lesbian, which was very odd for a burlesque performer to be a lesbian. And she's always been honest and open, and she let that, cat out of the bag in the 60s when you really couldn't let it out without getting abused and punched, like she describes.
And she talked about that in the trailer.
She took some lumps. She really did. She had some rough times.
Yeah, but she's always been honest, So.
And that to me was one of the more appealing things about this, as opposed to another burlesque dancer that she was out and she was open. So I mean, that was very appealing in terms of how she did, and how hard that was, and who knows, maybe maybe help some other people. I don't know, but
yeah. Well, how are you guys doing now? So is she still thinking about writing a book?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's always saying it. I hope she does.
Will.
I hope she does.
I think she will.
Yeah. Are you guys? How are you guys doing with distribution? And like now that you're kind of finished with editing, obviously the movie's finished. How is that going for you?
We've had, our distributor is Breaking Glass Pictures.
Where we landed it.
Yep.
So
it's done, and we've. That's a whole nother thing, just distribution and how that all works. But
talk to us about that, because we've had so many people talk to us about the different types of distribution: hybrid, self-distribution, theatrical release, VOD. I mean, there's just so internet. I mean, there's so many ways that you can go about it. What made you choose this form of distribution?
Get a lawyer first and foremost. I would tell anybody, get a lawyer.
Okay.
We were approached by other distributors.
Okay.
And they all are different, like you said.
Right.
I mean, some are producers, reps that pass off as distributors.
Okay.
And you don't realize that until you're 20 minutes into a conversation on the phone. But just really read your contract. Have a lawyer really go through your contract and understand exactly what you want out of it. For us, it was like, we just want the movie to get out. We're trying to build our career.
That's a pretty simple goal. Yeah, that's a pretty simple
goal. Get it
out,
tell the story. It's therapeutic for us to get our work out there and, tell her story. And we never really set our goal to be in a theatrical release. I have no problem with our piece of work going straight to video at all. I've been in many movies with different people. One, for instance, I was in a movie, Quentin Tarantino, Harvey Keitel, the cast, Anthony Quinn, Steve Buscemi, and I was a musician with the band. Straight to video, same thing, but they spent about, how many, $20 million on the movie. We spent that much and we're going straight to video. So what's the difference? It's like, I don't have to have it justified that I'm in the theater. I just want to get the story out.
But it has been playing in theaters, though, because you've been going to festivals.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not
we've had it
released, but it's going straight to video.
Well, I don't know. The distributor's talking about it. About doing a very small, limited theatrical run in 2 cities.
Okay.
And that's another good thing about that. That's good is that if your film runs for, I believe, 7-day, it's like there's a certain period of time where if it does a theatrical run, you'll get reviews in those big cities.
Right.
So you're building a promotion. You're promoting your picture in the process.
It's helping more to build the audience.
And build,
Right.
So they're talking about doing that. We'll see if that happens. That would be great.
And another way that, I can't remember if we talked about this on the phone, making money back after it goes to video. Would you guys think about doing what you did with Camp Burlesque and travel with it to all the different festivals,
We'd love
set
to.
up a booth and try to sell it? So that's a little bit more like the band style of doing.
Well,
things.
that's what I said, man. It's just like we're going on tour, Josh. So get ready. I know how to tour.
He's a rock star. I'm like, all right.
if you were to approach filmmaking like a band, what advice?
We kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, from the very get-go, whenever we watch the playbacks of anything that we shot, we're like, I hate to use it and be corny, but it was like, Josh, it's got to think punk rock. Like when you watch that, like if you see some bullshit on the screen, you know, that we're just throwing in for color, this or that doesn't fly, get rid of it, man. Let's look at it and make sure it's an honest film.
Yeah.
And it's not bull, you know, just think of it like punk rock style. And that's how we used to do it with music, you know. You play something, you try and be honest, no bullshit, and that. So we did kind of, very similar.
Yeah.
The way we did it.
Do you think there's benefits of doing a documentary versus a narrative? I mean, being for your first feature, like do you think in some ways easier to just make something that was interesting, get it done and get it out there?
Well, we're certainly in a time now where documentaries are very popular.
Especially in Netflix.
Yeah. So in that sense, yeah. I mean, you may have your opportunity for people to see it are far greater than, maybe even 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say for that, yeah. But I mean, I suppose it's just up to you and what you want to do in terms of what story you want to tell and why. I love that. I mean, I'll definitely want to do another documentary. I want to do as many as I can.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's just so.
I'm
so
fascinated with
great.
people, and stranger the better for me.
How long did it take you guys from, I guess, the day that you started shooting to the day that you started editing? Because I know it's usually a long process. I always get on average 3 to 5 years starting the concept to the distribution. So what was that date, and then also what was the shooting time? Because I find it interesting that you just got her to let you into her life.
Yeah.
We edited as we
went.
And
what did we shoot for, Josh? Off and on for not that long.
Maybe a year.
About a year.
Not that long.
But with breaks in between.
That's a long time to dedicate your life to following somebody around.
Yeah, there were breaks between, a month or two down here or there.
The Kickstarter. That was
We've got a lot of questions from the audience. You guys want to take some audience questions? The first one is from a Twitter follower, Chris Greg Fred, asked, how do you know when to stop filming? I guess it could go on forever, right?
Yes.
You just have to say, that's it, it's over, we're done.
We had consultants.
Yeah.
We showed cuts of the movie, and we had lots of cuts of the movie. We would show those to a certain select group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And
these are people that are in the industry or friends?
Industry mostly. Some, but some weren't. I mean, we had some friends that just are big doc buffs. And, but yeah, I mean, it could keep going on. You have to.
It's like,
you gotta nip it.
You do, yeah.
Kill your babies.
Yes, you gotta kill a baby, yeah.
This question's for Joe S. from our audience, and he says, do you have a B story? Is there an antagonist, or how did you discover them?
Yes, Well, the A story is Angel and her life and of burlesque.
Right.
And then the B story is the relationship that she was going through at that period of her life. So.
With her lover.
With her lover, yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's on a lot of.
It's a love story.
Oh,
the B.
In a way.
Very interesting love story. This one is from Twitter follower @CKukahiko, and he asked, doing a movie like this, how do you know when you're done? Oh, we kind of asked that already. But when you have all the footage and you're finished. Tweaking. So I guess let's, since we already kind of asked a similar question, let's ask about maybe how did you know you're done with the editing process, and how long did that take? Because I'm sure you had so much footage after a year.
I'll give one bit of advice
regarding
knowing when you're done and stuff. We submitted to festivals before when we thought we were like, okay,
we were a little anxious.
This is a good cut. Like, let's just submit to South by Southwest.
You know, the little ones.
Yeah, right. Let's see if they like it, and if they like it, I would suggest to anybody, don't do that.
Don't get anxious, just relax.
Wait it out.
And wait till you're ready.
Yeah.
Did you go through a period where you just didn't look at it for a while and tried to come back to it with fresh eyes?
No. I wish. No, we were night and day, and Josh edited it, and I basically sat in a chair next to him going, no, yes, no. But he chopped it up, and we would put in crazy amount of hours till we were delirious.
At any point, did that strain your friendship?
No, I would not at all, man. If he bugged me, I would just fall asleep on the couch while he was editing. Wake up an hour later, and looks good.
Look at his, 10 seconds.
That it took me 2 hours to do. All right, this next one's from another Twitter follower at Eric DAH Man. And he asks, what was the response of the burlesque community to seeing the finished project?
Very, very positive.
It was awesome. We had our
the
premiere at the Walt Disney Concert Hall at the Red Cat Theater. It was sold out, and it was packed with all the local burlesque girls.
Did they come in costume?
Yeah.
Did they really come out
They
to
were in
support it?
costumes, and they were so supportive. Obviously, Angel was there, and her family, a lot of her family is in the movie, her mother and different people. So it was a big night. They were totally supportive. They love her.
That's great.
She's like their mom.
And they come to the show, so we were in Austin, some burlesque dancers came to that screening, Seattle, the different cities we've had it, they'll show up and support, and some dance after the movie plays.
Yeah, we always have a little show with the band and dancers to go with the theme.
Yeah.
Do you play after the shows?
I do.
Yeah.
So another way
I'll
of
pull in
bringing-
musicians in different cities I go to that I know. And
he's got this network of musicians.
we'll set up a little show.
Just off the hook. The guy that played in Austin, what was his name?
That's Denny Freeman. He's from Dylan's band, and
I mean
Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he plays with everybody.
Is that another audience that you can pull from when you invite those musicians? Do you have them okay, tweet and say you're going to be here?
I don't.
No, these guys, they don't tweet or
They don't
anything.
tweet. They don't even have computers. They just say, "Where do you want me? I'll bring my amp." Okay, I'll see you there.
And they've ripped, man. They just, oh God, they blow the doors off the
Most
place.
of them aren't really tapped into movie stuff. They just love to play music.
They just want to hang out and
have a
girls,
beer.
tassel twirl and others.
Play some music.
I guess it's not a bad gig. That's not a bad gig. This other one is also from @ChrisGregFred. He asks, how do you pull a structured story out of real life footage? I kind of asked that one. He also asked, did you push or investigate at all to create interesting moments? That's a really good one.
No way.
So were you just a fly on the wall, or were you trying to pull a story from her?
You can't do that with her. She's just, she commands.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you just listen. You ask her questions, but you could never you get her into a situation and just kind of let it happen.
It may work with some people, but
no way.
not
with her.
Not with her personality.
Yeah.
No way. She'd be like, "What the hell are we doing here?" If you did that, she'd be, like, "Hey, Angel, so we're, we're
She'll call you
at
on it.
SeaWorld. What do you think of the dolphins?" Well, what the fuck did you bring me here for? That's what
you could edit that out, right?
Yeah, right.
You know what? We're not on television, so we can say whatever the fuck we want.
All right, good. All right.
Fuck yeah!
So, this next one's from Eric Altman, and he says, burlesque is not stripping. Was a point made to keep sex out of the subject, or did you embrace it?
I think dancers would beg to differ.
What was your experience?
Well, there was a period, just in terms of sex and pornography.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a period in the 80s that essentially kind of wiped, actually 70s into 80s, that essentially wiped out what would be called exotic dancing, because it went from burlesque.
Went for burlesque to
exotic dancing.
Yeah, pretty hardcore kind of dance, and we interviewed Ginger Lynn, a very famous porn star in the movie, and when she came in the Vogue in the early 80s, it kind of put an end to the real burlesque, and the real burlesque just resurfaced around in the early 90s again.
And the real burlesque, they consider it an art form.
Oh, big time.
Like a seductive dance that's an art form.
They are all about costumes. It's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, it's showbiz to them.
Right.
And it's an art.
The ones that are, some girls that dance are just so good at it. They've just got it down. I mean, Lily Von Stupp does a show on Mondays. It's like right around the corner from here. It's, what is this? Santa Monica and
3 of Clubs.
Vine.
Yeah.
3 of Clubs.
3 of Clubs. That's where we hang out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, totally.
That was a good burlesque show there.
She does it every Monday.
Yeah.
She has it Monday Night Tease. It's the longest running burlesque show in LA, and I think she sells out almost every Monday.
Wow.
At that. And those girls dance. She gets them from all over the country that come in, and you see authentic, really good.
You know when you see a real, it's like night and day when you see the real thing. Because they are all about, it's acting, it's drama, it's everything.
And then there's also neo-burlesque, like sort of New York, Coney Island scene.
Yeah.
Which is a bit more performance art. More campy, more sort of comedic and that kind of thing.
Novelty.
So, novelty, yeah.
We have another one from Chad, a member of our audience. He asked, why would a rep pose as a distributor?
Why would a rep pose as a distributor?
Yeah, because this is something that this isn't the first time we've heard of that.
Take that, Jess. I don't understand.
I think anyone that can get okay, our film opened at Outfest.
How would they profit by like trying to trick you or like?
Well, because in our case, they were asking for money upfront money on our part, whether it be to pay for DVDs, you know, or the marketing of the movie, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Our film premiered at Outfest, so we had a little bit of a buzz going into it, and it's a nice thing to put on a DVD cover.
Right.
And so, you know, they immediately, in the case of, I won't say who the distributor is, but the one that we talked to.
Right.
The one.
The one. Where, you know, you're talking on the phone and they're saying all this, they're saying about theatrical distribution, and they're talking about Redbox and Netflix and HBO, and they're just all these options. And then they get to the part where it's like, all we need is X amount of DVDs so that we can get them to those film festivals. I mean, they'll even promise you, we know this guy at this film festival, and we'll get it into them.
Of course.
And they'll say, we can't guarantee it, you know, that the festival will play it, but we'll get it to the right guy to get it. And so I think, I don't know, somebody told me at Outfest, they're like, look, you shouldn't ever have to pay a distributor. And if they're asking you for money up front, then it's a big red flag. But
and you know that from being in a band too. That's a typical thing that happens to bands all the time.
I've had many. Yeah, I've been scammed many times, but I think I finally learned.
So
Camp Burlesque
this is a, you know, a very typical thing that happens.
Yeah.
So how were you able to tell the difference between the two?
I ask friends. Really get advice from people. Okay, you know, here's a contract that this sent me. Can you take a look at this?
Have a good lawyer look at everything. You know?
We had a couple lawyers.
A couple lawyers, run it by different people.
And ask other people that have had distribution deals.
How it looks.
How it looks and what makes sense.
You know, you got to kind of, you know, take a chance at some point. You know, you don't know what's going to happen in the end. You just got to go for it.
And weigh out what's important to you, what your goal is to it. You know, if your goal is to make money, you may not, a distribution company might not be the way to go. It could be a tour. It could be getting a band together, going on tour, selling DVDs, getting them yourself. And
that's a good idea.
You know,
it's fine by me.
I think you might be onto something. Our last question from the audience is from another Twitter follower @4Yael, and she asked, "What did you learn about us as a culture?" Oh, I think we have a burlesque person in the audience that surprised you through Satan's eyes.
Go ahead.
Well,
so what did you learn?
I probably learned that I was kind of shocked to know that a lot of burlesque girls were lesbians. Who would have thought? They're performing out on a stage to men, you know, pouring it on, sexuality, and, you know, like Angel's case, you know, well, in her case, she dated men as well, but I was kind of shocked to learn that, and I thought it was kind of cool, you know.
I think they're very serious about it. They're very, very serious about what they do. They make their own costumes, you know, they tour, they strive to, like, hit the mark every time they're out there with the music that they decide, with the routine, whether they're mimicking an old legend that they've seen, you know, the footage of. They get the moves down exactly correct. They're very serious about it. I mean, it's an art, you know.
Yeah.
Something you got to respect.
And I guess I wasn't totally surprised, but there's not a lot of money to be made in it, you know. And it's cool to see how many girls are out there just doing it because they love doing it.
They love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we talked about distribution. It's going to, how is it being distributed on video?
For sure, yeah. VOD, Netflix, and perhaps this small theatrical run, and yeah, DVD.
Also, and when does that release happen?
First quarter of 2013.
Okay, so around like March, early
Yep,
March?
exactly.
Okay, so we'll try to get the word out then so people can find out how they can see it. In the meantime, how do we keep up to date and find out what new news we've got as far as like different releases and information about the film go? We'll check out the website.
SatansAngelMovie.com. At Satan's Angel MOV is our Twitter. And Facebook.com/Satan's Angel Movie. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
for joining
us today and talking to us about your phone. Thank you. I really find it interesting.
Cut.